We're here with David Icke at the Community Media Center in Santa Rosa. David began his career at a very early age. The age of 15, he was already playing professional football. By the time he was 21, he was ready to shift from that career over to a career in journalism. And from journalism, he continued on to become a sports commentator at the BBC and rose up very high within the BBC. He became also a spokesman for the Green Party, and at the height of his career had a life-changing experience, and that began his, one could say it was a hero's journey that took him on another road entirely that he's been on for about 20 years now. So I'd like to welcome to the studio Mr. David Icke.
Thank you, Osha. Nice to be here.
Pleasure to have you here today. So I'd like to ask you a little bit about the moment that you got the call on the hero's journey and decided that you would say yes and you would begin the quest.
Well, as you say, I was a professional soccer player, as you would say. My career finished at 21 with arthritis, and I went into journalism through the 80s with the BBC, the Green Party, and then my life started to change. From 1989, or through that year, every time I was in a room alone, it felt like I wasn't. And this was all new to me. I didn't know anything about this stuff. But it built up and built up through the year. And eventually, I'm sitting on the side of a bed in a hotel in London when I'm working with the BBC. And the presence in the room is so tangible. I just said to the room, if there's something there, would you please contact me? You'll drive me at the wall. And a few days later, not many days later, I was in a news shop, a newspaper bookshop near where I live in England. And my son was there, and I said to him, come on, Gaz, you're only a little boy then, 27-year-old singer-songwriter now. And I said, come on, we'll go up the town and get something to eat. At which point my feet wouldn't move. It was like my feet were being pulled to the ground by like magnets. And all I heard, as I'm thinking what's going on, is this very strong thought form went through my head saying, go and look at the books on the far side. What? So I went across, and in among the romantic novels that shop sold mostly was this woman's face on a book, and I picked it up because it was different. And it was by a psychic called Betty Shine. It was called Mind to Mind, and I turned it over, read the blurb. My immediate reaction was, will she find out, or will she pick up what I'm feeling around me? So I went to see her on the basis of she did hands-on healing. I had the arthritis, so I made the excuse. It was true, though, that maybe her hands-on healing could help, but I was just keeping everything else back to see what happened. And first two times, we had a nice chat, a bit of hands-on healing, and the third time I went, she was doing something around my knee, and I felt like a spider's web on my face, which she said in her book, you sometimes feel when there's other entities or energy around. So I didn't say anything to her, but I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's what she said in her book. And about 10 or 15 seconds later, she shoots her head back and says, my God, I've got to close my eyes for this one. This is powerful. So I'm going, what's going on, And she started saying she could see a figure in her mind who was asking to pass information. And funny enough, the first thing she said, though I never told her about the story in the hotel, was, we know you wanted us to contact you, but the time wasn't right. You've not been brought here to be healed. At this time anyway, you've been brought here to be contacted. Okay. And then it was, you're going to go out on a world stage. You're eventually going to be world famous, revealing great secrets. One man cannot change the world, but one man can communicate the message that can change the world was one thing I remember. You will write 5 books in 3 years on these subjects. I thought that was ludicrous. Trying to write 5 books in 3 years, we might get them published. And subjects, what subject? I know nothing about it at the time. And that there was what it called, in the widest possible sense, there was a spiritual revolution coming, because there was a vibrational change taking place that was going to awaken humanity from its basically sleep state, its coma state, its program state. And so I left the BBC. Series of very synchronistic things made that happen.
That's what I call a call.
And I went on this journey, and I earned nothing for a long time. I just went on. I just feel this is right, and in the end, I ended up in Peru in February 1991, when I'd gone around the country with this guide, and he booked us into this hotel in a place called Puno, called the Siyustani Hotel. And they called it the Siyustani because it was named after an Inca ruin about an hour and a half's drive away, and pictures of this place were all over the hotel. Every time I looked at the pictures, they were basically saying, go, go, go. You know, you get these urges, go, go. And so I hired this tourist bus, because it's all out of season, and me and this Peruvian guide and the tourist driver went off, and I went round this ruin, and it was nice, it was lovely. This really uninhabited area, surrounded by distant mountains, a lagoon and a hill and ruins on top. It was lovely. But when I went back to the bus after about an hour, I thought, it's nice, but this doesn't fit or sync with the urge I had to come.
This? On the
yeah, Siyustani, there you go. Oh my goodness me. Oh, that's the first time I've seen a picture of that from that angle since I was there. How interesting. I got in the bus to go back, and I'm looking out the window, just daydreaming away as I do all the time, and I saw this mound or this hill to my right, about 3 minutes down the road, and I looked at it, and all I could hear in my mind was, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me. So I thought, you know, what's happening to me in my life? So I said, you know, could you stop the bus? I'm going up that mound. And I said I'd be a minute. Well, I was an hour or so. And so I walked up, and when I got to the top, I couldn't see it from the road, but there was this circle of standing stones. Very, very old standing stone circle. And I stood in the middle of it. And I looked back across to Siyustani and the distant mountains. And my feet started again, only like in the shop, only much more powerfully.
So the same kind of
sensation it's like magnets. It's like a burning feeling. You know, it's not unpleasant, but you can feel it like a magnetic connection of some kind. And then the first thing I heard go through my mind when I'm thinking what's going on was, they will be talking about this 100 years from now. I'm thinking, talking about what? And the next thing was, it will be over when you feel the rain. But in the sky was the Peruvian sun, and not a cloud to be seen anywhere. It will be over when you feel the rain. It's like, all right.
How long do I have to stand here?
And then, yeah, I thought it'd be a month. And then I felt this like drill going in the top of my head and through my body, and another flow coming the other way. And then my arms went out at 45 degrees like that, without even thinking of doing it. And while I'm like, I mean, my arms are aching now just doing this. Well, they were like that for the best part of an hour. They were agony when it was over, but I didn't feel it during that period. And this energy started coming through me, really, really powerful. My body was shaking in the end. And you know, you go in, when you drive in the car, you lose a few miles because your subconscious has been driving it, because your mind's been somewhere else. I mean, we'd all be dead without the subconscious, you know. Anyway, that was happening to me during this experience. And on one occasion when I came back and sort of realized I was here, I saw a light grey mist over the distant mountains, which became darker, and I realized it's been raining. And over this period, I mean, the whole thing lasted about an hour, just over or so. So it was very quick once it started, and this rainstorm came out of the mountains towards me, and it was literally like a straight line, like pulling curtains across the sky. And it's coming towards me. The sun was covered eventually, and there's all these billowing clouds like dry ice in the sky. But as it came towards me, it's like a wall of stair rod rain. By the time it's got close, I'm watching it come towards me. If you made this up, put it in a movie with special effects, they'd go, oh yeah, all right. But it happened. And so eventually the rain hit me. And by the time it did, my body's like, I'm plugged into an electric socket. And then when the rain hit me, it all stopped. And I staggered forward because my legs were gone. My shoulders were agony. And from that moment, something massively shifted in me, because for the next 3 months, I didn't know what my name was, let alone what planet I was on. And when I look back, and I went on primetime television doing this, right, in that state, and I attracted fantastic ridicule. But what I, with hindsight, when I look back, what happened is that, if you like, a bubble burst and allowed something else in. And I was being deluged with insights and concepts and thoughts and realities. And I've described it as like when you press too many keys on a computer and the computer says, I can't handle all that information, I'm freezing, all right, I'm out of here. Well, for 3 months I was like that. And then after 3 months, everything morphed back. The computer unfroze, if you like.
So that was sort of like that period of integration
Yeah.
that you needed, and you ended up going out in front of the media before you'd had a chance to digest and integrate all this energy that was
that was fun. Osha, that was fun. That was, you know, when I think about it. But
you're part of the road of trials in that hero story there.
and it gave me so much, because the enormous ridicule I went through. I mean, I couldn't walk down any street in Britain in the early 90s without being laughed at by people in large numbers. Going into a bar or a public place, forget it. And what that did for me was clear me out of the prison that most people live in, which is the fear of what other people think. Because not just in my case, you know, I'm not some special person. I'm going through the journey, a lot of it in the public eye, but I'm going through a journey that everybody else can go through, and many more and more are going through, and indeed unconsciously go through anyway, in terms of experience coming into their lives as an expression of their personal journey. But when I look back at the connections of my life, rather than the individual links in the chain, I see how it was all necessary, and why and how my personal journey, my personal experience, and what I'm uncovering and communicating are fundamentally connected. Because when you think of some of the, well, from the mainstream perspective, shall we say, bizarre things that I'm talking about, they're not really, but from that point of observation, they seem to be. If I had not been cleared out through that extreme experience of ridicule, of the fear of what other people think, then I would have done what most other people do, is either not gone there when I saw where the information was taking me, or if I did go there and have a look at it, I certainly wouldn't sell publicly what I feel is going on, because what will people think of me? Frankly, I don't care, because they have a right to think of me as they choose to think of me, and I have a right to be me as I choose to be. That's the deal. And so that ridicule, again, while in the moment it was horrible and it seemed as if my life was over in any kind of way, it was the making of me. And it's an interesting thing, you know, if what you say has validity and you keep going with it, you don't stop and have to try to explain and defend yourself from everybody. You just do what you believe to be right. If what you're saying has validity, it will eventually be shown to be so. If you stop because you feel sorry for yourself, or you think, I can't take what it takes to keep going, then that validity will never be perceived, because you'll never have spoken the truth that could be, you know, that people could then see, hey, it just makes sense now.
So in a way, that ridicule cleared you out.
Yeah.
And allowed you to really go deeper into the hero's journey, because you had already lost that sense of caring what people thought about you. You'd already leaped off the cliff and taken the risk.
Yes,
so
that's a
now
very
you
good
were
analogy.
free to go deeper and really go on that journey.
Yeah, that was a very good analogy, because some people said to me, some of my friends, they said, did you not realize what the reaction would be when you started saying that? And I thought, I was a journalist for years. Yes, funnily enough, I did realize what the reaction was going to be. But you jump off the cliff because something tells you, go with it.